Hello and welcome to For Future Generations, episode 44. I mean, it's getting up there, guys. Episode 44. It is the 13th of December. Christmas is almost here. It's the end of the second week of Advent, but glad to have you all along, guys. It's I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know if I've been this excited for Christmas for a couple years. I know when you grow up, you get less excited for Christmas, but I'm pretty excited. But I am Geoffrey. I am joined, as always, by my friend Sean. Sean, how are you, man?
I am experiencing, as you know, all of the technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was laughing because I was literally just sitting here in silence, but I knew that you were playing the theme song, but I can't hear the theme song. All I can hear is you. And so I was just sitting here like, I'm going to assume he's playing the theme song right now.
Yeah. So we have some irregular audio contraptions going on. Things. We are a little bit late to the show, so some people might be wondering, man, what's taking y'all so long? Where are y'all?
Lazy.
Well, what's been going on is just that technical difficulties. As always, we are so professional that we have it's horseshoe theory. We've become so professional that we are unprofessional. That's or we're so unprofessional that we're so professional. I don't know. But anyway, all that said, the title for today's show, my dad always said. So Sean mentioned this last week that we wanted to talk about, just have a show talking about some fatherly advice that we received when we were younger. We are neither of us young men per se anymore. I don't know, Sean, are you comfortable sharing your age?
I am 36.
36. So Sean is 36. I'm 31. So we're not exactly old men yet, but I
feel old.
Whippersnappers either. But
I think I'm an old man. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones said, it's not the years, baby, it's the mileage.
Yeah.
So
hey, before we dig too far in, let's go ahead and share the give thanks for these gifts that we've gotten.
Yeah. So wrong way.
Other end.
Yep. On my side. So we had a friend of the show, Jolly Brawler, Ethan Holden, and his brother Samuel. They have sent some Christmas ornaments.
Look at that, dude. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, very cool.
I can catch every single light bulb in my house.
I know. Here, maybe if I
but
my hand, I don't know.
I'll read it to you. It says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance." And we had a show all about who that might be. Who's he talking about? God's chosen people. Who is that?
Yep.
And then you got,
of course,
lion laying down with the lamb.
Yeah.
Right?
You have the Jägermeister symbol kind of incorporated in it. No, I'm just kidding. It does kind of look like it though. No, but this is beautiful. This is the second year in a row that they've sent out these amazing ornaments. The only reason I don't have it on my tree right now is I wanted to show it on the show. Like, look at this. This was the presentation, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't even unwrapped it. It was just like this really nice card and everything. And and then Ethan's wife also included this print here, which I'm imagining she made. This is, of course, the
Lutheran
rose. My wife framed it. I did not, or she did not send it with the frame. But I was like, this is so nice. Like I should have this frame. So now I have two original prints right next to each other. Of course, my Moby Dick print there as well. So yeah, like really awesome gifts. I don't know if he just likes sending me custom things to go with it or what, but
you seem to be his favorite.
I guess, yeah. I'm just like, does everyone get this or what?
No, I didn't get one, but I'm not a Lutheran, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. We have also a little bit of housekeeping that I wanted to mention, which is we have a donation page, right? It's called Buy Me a Coffee, and the website is literally www.buymeacoffee.com/for future generations. And we have some supporters on that website. We got a few, and good fellas. They're helping to alleviate some of the cost of the software and the hardware that we use. This is not a profitable venture, not yet. Sean and I do this for the love of the game. All right, yep. We get together and we chat because we just like being a disappointment to the powers that be. Yeah. You know, we're not a successful podcast. We're not a popular podcast. We don't say everything we're supposed to. We just exist to make some people very miserable. But we're having a great time.
Yeah, so, having fun doing it.
But if y'all want to support us on this website, we would really appreciate it. There are tiers at which you can do it. You can also do a one-time donation. And one of the reasons that you might be incentivized to do such a thing is because Sean has donated his commentaries, Calvin's commentaries, at this exact same volume here, the red volume. And they are going on eBay for $1,400, the full set. And Sean has donated them to the cause. They will be sent as a Christmas present to one of our fine sponsors, one of our donors on Buy Me a Coffee. And the way that you get entered into that drawing, which we will do next week.
Yeah.
The way you get into that drawing is by going on to Buy Me a Coffee, a donation of any amount, a subscription of any amount. The way we're going to do that is dollar amount. Every $5 amount that you give will give you one chance in the drawing to receive this beautiful, beautiful hardcover 14-piece. Isn't it 14?
1, 2, oh boy, it's been a while
5,
since
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's like a 20 piece.
Yeah. But, very large.
It is a shelf stuffer right there.
It's pretty crazy that this was like a side quest of John Calvin, because he was a pastor. Like, he was a full-time pastor. He was occasionally getting chased out of cities, and in that time of his life, he wrote more than most people read. That's just so much, man. Like, it's a ridiculous set. But there was a time where that was the very first, back in my Bible college days, back when I thought I was going to be a pastor, that was the first, for sermon prep, that was the first thing I always went to. It probably still would be if I was prepping. But alas, I am not. I just really wanted to bless someone with this. It's just such a cool thing to have. I ended up getting my set for very cheap because someone else had paid like the $1,400, and then they hit hard times, so I bought it off them for pretty cheap. And it's just kind of been burning a hole in my pocket. And I would really love. Well, we're going to be blessing somebody's house with this set.
Somebody's definitely going to be very blessed.
I'm just excited for that. I know we're not. I mean, I could make more money just putting it on eBay, but I just really wanted to show some love. Holiday season, birth of our Lord. It's not exactly gold, frankincense, or myrrh, but it's it's a high end gift.
Oh, it certainly is. It certainly is. And so anyway, if y'all want to be entered into that drawing, the way to do so, like I said, is go to buymeacoffee.com, for future generations. And, any and every donation of a $5 amount is one drawing towards winning these. That will be announced next week. And what else we have going on next week is we will be having our monthly get together for our Buy Me a Coffee sponsors. Our sponsors, every month we have an after show for the sponsors. And if you want to be in that after show, the way to do that is also to join our Buy Me a Coffee page. So anyhow, with that being said, the ball is in your court, guys. If you want it, come and get it. Here it is. So my dad always told me, I have on my phone, I have just a note that I've been collecting over the years. As I'm driving, I drive a lot for work. As I'm driving, I will reminisce sometimes about my childhood. And a couple times I've caught myself realizing, wow, I'm thinking about a time that my dad gave me some really good advice. And so I'll stop what I'm doing and just write it down, either in my notepad, which I keep in my pocket, or on my phone. And I've got a small handful of things, but each of them, because of the way that I've accrued them, they each kind of have a story that goes along with them. And so I'll kind of tell some stories too. But this show is actually Sean's idea. And Sean, I think you had a couple of things in particular that you wanted to share. But before we get into it too far, let's hit the comments real quick. And then do you want to go first? Or do you want me to?
I can go first. All right. That'd be fun.
So we'll hit the comments, and then Sean, when we're done with the comments, we'll roll right into it. Let's see. Sir Vilder says fist.
Yeah.
And then he says frist. And then he says, whatever, I'm here and excited to be alive. Well, Vilder,
right. Wow.
good to have you along.
At least somebody's excited about you being alive.
Oh, man. That's rough. That's rough. Beautifully Berserk says first, and no, beautifully, I'm afraid you were second or fourth, depending on how you count it. But Reformed Rogue, who is a sponsor of the channel, good to have you, man.
Yes,
good evening, and a good evening to you as well, and Merry Christmas. All right. Well, with that said, Sean, go ahead and take us into your story, your advice that your dad gave you.
Yeah, I've actually wanted to do this for probably a month or so, but you just kept being like, hey, I got this guest. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to say no to a guest, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, no, I want to do my thing. But there was one particular piece of advice. And before I get into that, I will say my dad said a lot of really crazy things that stuck with me, that weren't really great fatherly advice, but it was just the way he would say things that I will probably be saying these things to my children as well. The first one was, when I would come up to him, I'd be like, Dad, I need this thing. Right.
Right.
He would say, well, you have your wants and your needs confused. That was like the big thing. I heard that many, many times as a kid, right? You have your wants and your needs confused. I would say, okay, fine, I want it. And then he would say, well, people in hell want ice water, which is to say, it doesn't matter if you want that. Like, you're not getting it. So that was the kind of things that my father would say to me. Another one less appropriate for the show is he would the traditional way of saying this would be life is a female dog, the
Right.
more right, and then you die. That's the saying, right? Life is the B word, and then you die. But he changed it to life is the B word, and then you marry one. That was his big thing. He was very He was very hurt by his first marriage. We'll say that. So that was, those are the kind of things, right? So it was, you know, my father never like really like sat me on his lap and was like, son, I'm going to tell you how to be a man today. He would just say like, it was always like crazy things like that. But one time, and this was, I think I had come back from the army at this point. Like this was, so I'm in my early to mid 20s when he says this. And there was something that we had to go do, but we didn't want to do it. Right. Some event, some kind of thing like that. I said, Dad, I really just don't want to do this. And I know you don't want to do this. Why are we doing this? And he said, being a man means doing things that you don't want to do to make other people happy. And it was such a throwaway thing. It wasn't like he was like, I've been holding on to this nugget forever. It was just an in the moment. This is how, and he just dropped that on me. And at the time I was like, oh, he's so cynical. Okay, whatever. But very recently, I would say since I've had kids, so, you know, what was that 5.5-ish years since my firstborn was born. I started to realize, I mean, there's a lot to that. And I think it's something that is important to bring up in the holiday season. For those who don't know, like, I think it's like Christmas Day is the number one suicide day of the year.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah, I think it is Christmas Day. I think that most people are aware that men commit suicide way more often than women.
Yeah.
I want to say if it's broken down by race, the number one is actually Native Americans. And then the number two, I believe, is white people. Like, I think that's at least in America, that's the order per capita kind of thing. So, you know, white men have a very high suicide rate compared to other places or other demographics. Black men just get shot and shoot each other. They just, you know, I mean, they don't have time to kill themselves. They kill other people.
Well, I mean, you've seen suicide by cop. That happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that won't really hit the statistics.
Yeah, that doesn't count as a stat. But I bring that up to say, like, that's kind of why it's been on my mind. And like I said, at the time, it really felt like he was being cynical. But now that I look at it, I'm like, man, that's actually something that we need to share. Because, like, the name of the show, right? For future generations. What are we doing everything for? For future generations.
For them. Yeah.
I had come up with the when you had first dropped this name because it's a goofy song that you like. I don't care for it, but I said, you know what? Jeff pays the bills, so I don't really care what it's called. But I had come up with, like, well, how can I spin this to be like my own thing? Like what was, and I don't remember the exact wording, but essentially what it was, I had sent you like a meme of it, and it was that great men are those who do the things necessary for future generations to become great. I think that was actually how I said it.
That's exactly the wordage.
And it had, so that it had for future generations in it, and it was just and I had put a lot of thought into that. I was like, man, like that really is it. That's what we're trying to say, is that it's not about your own pleasure seeking and you know, making much of yourself, but to set the future generations up for success. And I think that when I really think about what my dad had said about that being a man means doing things that you don't want to do to make other people happy. I really think that there's a way to put a positive spin on that. And the way that we do that is by just essentially doing what the oh, did it drop?
Yeah.
The positive way to do that is essentially do like what we call in the Army, which is just embrace the suck. Did it drop again? Do you keep?
Sorry, I'm trying to look up things on my phone at the same time. It just keeps messing with it.
I wouldn't even do it. But yeah, embrace the suck is kind of in the Army. It's essentially the reason that I can kind of stand out in the rain and be soaking wet and just not worry about it. Because if you can mentally just put yourself where you're like, I am now going to be wet. I'm going to embrace being wet. Yeah. I'm now wet. It's not like, oh no, I'm like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like people think they're like dodging the rain, or if they move in a certain thing, they're not going to get wet. If you just embrace it
before getting into a cold shower, right? It's the anticipation of the cold shower is actually worse than the cold shower itself. If you can get into it, the water hits you and you clench up, and then you just kind of, and then you just kind of let it go, and you embrace the suck, and you're just like, okay, this is for the next 5 minutes. I'm just going to be cold, and you can get through it. The only way out is through.
I had always told myself, because I always heard the idea that the people who don't anticipate a car accident don't get as hurt because they don't clinch.
Because they don't clench.
Yeah, that's always the idea, right? So in my mind, I was always mentally like, if I know I'm going to get in an accident, I'm just gonna let
it happen, right?
I'm gonna do the
gonna vibe out.
Have you seen the John Hamm meme going around? Where he's like in the club and he's just kind of like, the meme is essentially like it's somebody doing something and then they just like embrace it, because like the John Hamm meme is essentially him just kind of like doing this kind of thing, like he's like ready to accept it, and like that. So anyways, I thought for sure I was about to get rear-ended when I was on the freeway earlier this week, and I felt it in my stomach that I was about to get rear-ended, but I didn't clench because my whole life I've told myself not to clench. So I just but afterwards it was like, ooh, I definitely felt it though. Like my stomach was telling me this dude is about to hit me, and he didn't, but he got pretty close. It was one of those situations where like everyone in front of us was like slamming brakes,
really hitting hard.
And I was having to slam pretty hard on my brakes, and the guy behind me had an even lesser chance of stopping in time.
With each vehicle, it gets worse.
Yeah. So I was just like, all right, here it goes. But ended up not getting hit. Anyways, embracing the suck is kind of part of it. Like, if you understand that as a man, you got to get up and go to work every day. Right? I might have talked about it on the show before, but I'm in a situation where I have to have health insurance. If I don't have health insurance, my daughter loses quite a bit. Like her life in particular changes drastically. So I know I cannot get fired from this job. Like I have to have that. Unfortunately, it puts me in a situation where I just can't go out on my own and start my own business, and maybe win, maybe lose. I don't know. But I would have to make, like an extra $2,000 a month if I was, I had my own business or something like that on top of what I make already. So you just embrace it. You embrace that crappy job or whatever it is you have to do, because nobody really wants to go to work. Like nobody does what they love for a living. Nobody
I tell my kids this all the time. I mean, I love what I do, but if they weren't paying me, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell my kids all the time, like, when they're like, but I don't want to do that. And I'll say, honey, do you think that daddy likes waking up at 4:30 in the morning and getting out of his warm bed with his beautiful wife and baby and going to work without even seeing his kids in the morning, and then coming home in the evening when the sun is already going down and seeing them for a few hours before I go to bed? Do you think I enjoy that? Well, no. And I said, well, sometimes in life you got to do things you don't enjoy so that you can have things you do enjoy, like whatever it is we're doing right now, playing a game or going on a walk at the
Yeah.
house, cleaning the house, whatever it is, you've got to have this delayed gratification where I'm going to do something right now that I kind of hate. Low key, I kind of hate this, right?
Yeah.
But I'm delaying the gratification because when I come home, I'm going to be able to spend time with my kids in a warm house with nice food, in a car that gets me to and from work, all of which was paid for by that same job. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say this though. As far as like driving, I do a ton of driving for my job. I think like over the last 6 months, I've put like 25,000 miles on my truck. I think that's
Wow.
actually the number. Yeah, it's been pretty ridiculous.
Golly.
Yeah, because I think I got it at 20, like roughly 25, and I know I just hit 50,000 on that truck.
Wow.
I do a ton of driving.
That's low mileage, though. I don't have a vehicle that has less than
that's my work truck.
1,000 miles.
That's the work truck. I am assigned that truck.
truck.
It's a company truck. But I did have like a big moment. I think it was like last week maybe, where I was really just sitting there like with radio off and I'm driving and I'm like, dude, driving is awesome. Like, I don't understand why we don't embrace driving in a more positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Because like to just be going like 70 miles an hour in a vehicle is freaking awesome. Like at any other time in history, if you would have brought like, you bring some dude from the 19th century and be like, bro, I'm about to hit 70 just with no effort and no horse. It's just me and this machine, and we're gonna go 70, and everyone around us is gonna go like 80 or 90 or something because they're crazy. And that dude would be like, there's a episode of Samurai Jack where Jack like goes to some dude has like a spaceship type thing and he's driving it and Jack is just like he's like up against because he's a samurai. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't know flying and driving fast and all that. So it was just something I was thinking about. Like, why don't we embrace this more often? Like, I understand like we were born too late to ride horses and too early to like have jetpacks or whatever the future holds. But right now we can drive, and that's freaking awesome, dude. Driving is cool, man.
One of my reoccurring reminiscences, which I think is very fun, is so I do a lot of highway driving, and I have often thought, what would Julius Caesar think? The Roman roads, the Roman bridges, but what would he think if we put him in, a Mustang convertible and went over a spaghetti bowl over Austin or Fort Worth? Yeah. Fort Worth has some real spaghetti bowls.
Oh, dude, I was thinking about that in particular. You're talking about like crazy interchanges where there's like all these
where the overpass with an overpass with an overpass with an overpass. And you can go over some of these 65 miles an hour the whole way.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's an oblique, or it's not an oblique, I guess. It's a very open turn. And, I mean, you put Julius Caesar in the passenger seat of an open Mustang convertible going 65 over the top of this thing, hundreds of feet in the air.
Yeah.
It would blow his mind.
Yeah. I was thinking of it like there's in Fort Worth, there's one like that where it's literally one lane. And I don't mean one lane each way. It's just a one lane that goes way up in the air and comes way down. And sometimes I'm up there and you don't want to like,
don't take your eyes off the road.
Yeah, you don't want to go up too much. But like, I think about that. I'm sitting there. I'm just like, this is so high up right now. Like, this is insane that this is my daily drive. And just to embrace that. So like, I guess what I'm saying is if you can just embrace that kind of monotony and understand you don't have a monotony. Like I think about this a lot with like when I was in Afghanistan, like there will probably never be reenactments of that kind of thing, but there will be people in the future who were like, could you imagine being that guy that was like in a turret and he had like this cool thing, or they're like learning about it and they're like, this was a cool technology they had at the time, or whatever. Right. Like we do, you know, Civil War reenactments or whatever. And, but to those guys, they were like, this sucks, bro. Like I'm super hungry and I don't want to be here and I'm cold.
I'm carrying a whole bunch of weight just on my feet all day long.
Yeah. Or I'm wearing like the craziest wool coat in the middle of
the middle of summer in the South.
Dude. Like I'm in Tennessee in summer and I'm wearing the heaviest winter clothing. And this is, who came up with this?
And every time I shoot this gun, it sparks in my face and makes a ton of cloud, smoke. And now I can't breathe. It's like, And then, you know, middle-aged white guys, we dress up in our wool, take our cap and ball revolvers and rifles out, and we're like, no, I'm doing it like Granddad used to.
Well, that was like we had
it's unique for us. It's novel, I guess is the word. Yeah,
we had a parade earlier this year, and you know we were encouraged to wear full gear. Full uniform, not full gear, full uniform, I should say. And I was not wearing the authentic shirt underneath. I had like a plain white tee underneath my coat. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, it's going to look authentic, but it ain't going to be authentic. Like I ain't playing this game.
I'm not putting on that many layers.
Yeah.
Was it a July 4th parade? Because
no, but it was
like, it's always
probably
hot.
August. Yeah, it was hot time. But yeah, just like embracing that kind of like that stuff. Like there was a moment during that where we like the parade part of it was over, and so we were driving fast to the other spot, and I just took a flag and ran with it the whole way. Like there's something about that uniform. If you've never actually worn the Confederate gray, like that'll bring out some feelings in you. And I was just,
the best looking uniforms all come in gray.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I just felt like $1 million when I was wearing that. And so I was just running, and everyone else is like sitting on the trailer, all out of breath and just being a bunch of fat bodies. And I was just like, no, I'm taking this Texas flag. I'm taking it all the way home, baby. But yeah, you like just embracing that idea that you're going back to like the advice that my dad had given. You know, the idea is that you as a man, your duty in life is to give, you know, for women, their entire life is receiving, they're receiving that benefit of men, strong men, protecting them, building for them. And they receive the benefits of that when they have their head screwed on right. That's what they're doing in life, instead of trying to have a Jewish daycare job and all that kind of stuff. But for men, like think about your little boy, right? Like I have my third born is coming in March. It'll be my second boy. And I think those two boys, they'll grow up, they'll be men, and they don't grow up into be women. It's not multiple choice. They'll grow up and be men, and then they will have to be that guy who does a job he probably doesn't like. And, or at least let me correct that. I actually do like what I do for a living. It's not what I would ideally do for a living is the best way I could probably put that. But those boys, they'll grow up, they'll have to do this process all over again. And so the best thing I can do for them is to give them that brief moment in their life. And trust me, when you get old, like I am, like you feel how brief that moment is when you look back on it, where you don't really have responsibilities other than, like have your schoolwork turned in, or chores, or some menial
chores
task.
and schoolwork, and then you can just kind of do what you want.
Yeah. You'll have so much free time. Like, if you ever seen the studies on what makes a virtuoso at something, like especially something like music, it's because they spent all that free time that they had as kids on something productive, like learning an instrument. You don't have that time when you're older. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, make that childhood for those boys very special, as unburdensome as it can be. I mean, I know there's some aspects where it's like, yeah, you have to, you need to bear the yoke in your youth to an extent. Something I want to say that's Prophet Jeremiah says that it's good for a man to bear the yoke in his youth. There are aspects of that, but to just have that good childhood, like as a father to your boys, like that's what you're trying to do. So that's why it hurts so much when you see like a woman ruin that for a child, like my mother, right? I'll use my own mother as an example. She was playing the harlot, to say the least, and that made my childhood a little bit harder. It put extra work on my father to give a good childhood to me and my brother and sister. And so, like, that's why it hurts that much more, because there's that slim amount of time where a boy can have that unburdened time in his life. And that's something that we as fathers are kind of, how do I want to say that? We're kind of burdened with giving that to our children. So all that to say, like, if you're like a single guy, I know we have like single guys that listen on the show. What I'm happy to see is that those single guys want to be in that position where they have those responsibilities, whereas many single guys today, especially non-Christian, have kind of just given up on ever carrying that weight. They're basically just like, well, I'm just going to get through the day. I'm going to embrace full hedonism. I'm going to chase whatever high I can chase, and I'm going to, receive whatever pleasure I can receive. And then I'm not going to do anything for anyone other than myself. Like, it's going to be full on. I'm just working for myself. It is encouraging to see that there are men who want to take that burden on, because, I mean, it is really the only thing that is rewarding. I mean, just being a single guy living for yourself isn't, I mean, it's not, I don't know where I'm going with that, but anyways, it's good for those who are fathers. I know it's hard, especially like this time of year. If you're in a position like me where you don't, like, you're not going to actually see other than your immediate family, like your wife and kids, you're not going to actually see any of your family because you live far away from them, or whatever that situation is. I know that can be hard. But just embracing that suck where it's like, I'm just going to live and I'm going to do all these things for my wife and kids. There's so many aspects of Christmas that I do not want to do, but I do them because I know it makes the kids happy, right? Like putting the lights up on the roof.
Yeah, hanging lights is actually a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't get joy from that. Like, I don't drive home and be like, wow, look at the lights. Wow, it's so pretty. I don't care, but the kids care. Or like putting up the tree. For us, like, we have a fake Christmas tree because we're millennial Americans and we're consumerists or whatever the bad reason is. But I've got to make sure that the branches look full, right? And then, like, we got like extra garland to make it look thicker and all that, and like wrapping the lights around it was a pain in the butt and all that kind of stuff. But every time my little boy, who's about to be 3 Christmas Eve, will every time he looks at the tree, he's like Happy Christmas. Like, that's his thing. He likes pointing at stuff and saying like what a thing is. And so he sees it. That's a memory for him. He's going to embrace that. I don't care too much about the tree being there. So all that to say, like, it's just, that to me is probably the best advice that I've ever gotten about what it means to be a man. Because I think people try to make it too much more than that, especially like in our kind of circles, like this manosphere, Christian manosphere, whatever, reformed Christian manosphere, like all these different spins on it. A lot of guys will try to make it about like all these virtues and all this stuff like that. But I think in reality, there is a responsibility that is put on your shoulders, and it is to live for the benefit of others with your, honestly, with your short amount of time you have on this earth. And so that would be my encouragement.
Yeah.
That is the fatherly advice.
Not just for others in general, although there is a lot of that, but specifically for your people.
Right. Yes,
like,
that is
for
important.
Your kids. It's for your wife. It's like the reason you're doing it is for your people, and then it's the ordo amoris, right? It starts here.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for my wife. I'm doing this for my wife and kids. I'm doing this for my wife and kids and my neighborhood. Doing this for my neighborhood and my town. Doing this for my town and my state. My county, state, out to the U.S. Then and it dissipates as it goes out. But the most important thing is immediacy, your family, who, they're the closest to you. They're the ones who benefit the most from you. And it really is about that, especially about that next generation. One particular point, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I would say that is the difference between liberalism and conservatism. Is as C.S. Lewis had said that, liberal, I don't remember if it was exactly liberals was the term he used, but he had said that they love everyone in general, but nobody in particular.
Right.
But conservatives would say, in the, broad umbrella, all encompassing, this is conservatism in the classical sense. You are saying that I don't just love people. I love these people.
Yeah.
I love this specific people that I have been tasked with loving in this particular way. I'm not tasked with loving every single woman in the same way that I love my wife.
Right.
Boy, yeah, I would. That thing would fall off before too long. But
so run out of energy pretty quick.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
One woman is enough to wear a man down.
Yeah,
ask Jacob.
Yeah, there you go.
But when getting to this point that you made about embracing the suck, but more specifically, like, why are you doing it? There was, you kind of put it in the terminology of find the things in your everyday life that aren't everyday life, the things that are special. And I think a great way to do this is to just momentarily, send up a flare prayer and just say, wow, thank you, Lord. You walk into a building and you realize it's cool in there and you've just been hot all day, or vice versa. You walk into a room and it's warm and it was cold outside. Just be grateful real quick. Thank you, Lord, for the warmth. Thank you, Lord, for air conditioning. Little things like that go a long way toward maintaining your morale. Just gratitude. Gratitude's really important, but it also helps to focus your outlook on your entire life. I remember a story, and this is going to be a story-heavy show, but I remember a story of this one woman who, she was having difficulty in her marriage, so she went to a marriage counselor. First off, we do not endorse this. If you're having difficulty in your marriage, marriage counseling may or may not be good for you. You really need to do your research first. Going to your pastor may or may not be good for you. Do your research first. But she went to this marriage counselor and she said, I don't feel like we're connected. I don't really like being around him anymore. I feel like whatever, our spark has died, whatever women say, right? Whatever she says, I wasn't listening. And the marriage counselor says, okay, what I want you to do, I'm going to see you again in a month or maybe 2 months or whatever. Maybe it's after the holidays. It was a large gap of time. And the marriage counselor said, okay, what I want you to do is while we're between these appointments, I want you to just think about the things that made you originally fall in love with this man. Think about those things. And when he does them, remember that those are the things that made you fall in love with him. And then, so she goes back and she does this. She comes and sees the marriage counselor again after a month or a couple months, whatever it is. Sits down, the counselor asks her, might have been a pastor, I don't remember. So how are things going with your marriage? You were saying that things weren't looking good. What do you think now? And the woman was visibly confused. She says, what are you talking about? Our marriage is great. She didn't realize it, but the man she married hadn't changed. It was the way that she was looking at him that had changed. And when she was able to make herself see it differently, she felt differently about it, right? Your life is that way too. And there are things about your life, as bad as your life may be, there are things about your life that you can focus on and be grateful for and be happy about and be full of joy. And you should focus on those things. So anyhow, I've got a couple pieces of advice that my dad gave me, but let's hit the comments real quick, and then we'll roll into some of the things that I've written down in my notepad over the years. So you got John C. Barsoom says, one piece of advice from my father that I'm always reminded of this time of year: four-wheel drive doesn't mean four-wheel stop. Applies to more than just driving. Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, just because you can get yourself into something doesn't mean you can get yourself out of it. And, just because you can get up to speed doesn't mean you can put on the brakes real quick. But, four-wheel drive doesn't mean four-wheel stop. That's a good piece of advice. Zoltan says, Caesar was known for being carried on a litter around Rome so he could work between work. He'd be annoyed the Mustang went too fast for him to get stuff done before his next meeting. You talked about Calvin earlier in the show, Sean, about how much he wrote. Julius Caesar was a writer. That dude wrote down everything. So maybe he wouldn't be the Caesar to be particularly wowed by that. But I always thought, for some reason my mind just fascinated upon him for that. He says Grant used to get speeding tickets in DC when he was president on a horse. He would like a car. Yeah. Yeah.
He'd probably be drunk driving champion of the
world. He would be God's least favorite drunk driver, just because God probably didn't like him very much.
He'd probably kill even more innocent people if he had a car.
God knew what he was doing, not putting him within range of a vehicle.
Yeah.
Sir Vilder is asking any ladies if they want to fix him. Dude, this is not the comment section where you want to be looking for women, because they're not here, man. And not sure what
I will also say, when he says waspisphere, because I was saying like either Christian manosphere or like Reformed manosphere, whatever people call it. I will say, Sir Vilder, based on whatever sulking that you're doing in the comment section, that sounds like one of those situations that I was talking about where it's a woman ruining children's lives by just leaving their man, like doing whether it's a situation where she just pulls a Lucille and goes and runs off with when you got 4 hungry kids and a crop in the field. I mean, I don't know what exactly the other what the situation is there, but it does sound like what I'm talking about, where a man's trying his best and woman just says, I don't feel like keeping my end of the bargain, and goes
Many such cases, I'm afraid,
ruins people's lives because she wants to go ride the carousel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's certainly happened to a lot of people. One thing that, and this is one of the few original thoughts I've had, but one thing that I will say to comfort myself and others is, well, worse things have happened to better people. And, that's an easy one to get your head around. Well, I'm not a great person. I know there are better people than me. And what I'm going through is bad, but it could always be worse.
Yeah. I deserve a lot worse.
Put those two things together. Worse things have happened to better people, and you will be all right.
Yeah.
Sir Vilder again. My dad always says, "What do you have a void in between your ears?" I still don't know what he meant.
He's saying you don't have a brain.
A void is a lack of stuff. My dad actually would have. He had a couple of insults that he would use when we were being particularly dumb, and looking back on it, sometimes it was hurtful. But I don't have any animosity or negative feeling about any of that. But there was one in particular that I remember my brother being particularly upset about, my younger brother, and to the point of almost crying. And I was like, he was just calling you stupid. Get over it.
Yeah.
But he was younger than I was, and he was a kid at the time. So I was like, okay, I get that. But don't be too harsh with your kids, folks.
A good family insult that I heard was, well, I've actually got a couple of good ones, but the one about brains that was really funny to me growing up was my grandma was actually saying this. She said, when God was calling for brains, this guy thought he said trains and he jumped on. The really great one that I got from my grandfather, I cannot say in so many words, but it was the idea that a person was as useless as breasts on a horse. We'll say that. That one I still say. I guess I mean there's a harsher word for breast that I could have used, but that was the idea of the insult, that someone was so useless that those things being on a horse is about as useful as they are.
Well, I mean, horses do have them. I don't know if your grandpa was never around horses.
I don't know how that worked, but it just the horse is gonna mount regardless of what's going on there. So I think that was the
theory. Yeah. Yeah. The one that I heard when I was in youth group when I was a kid is, when God was handing out smarts, you thought he said farts and said no thanks. Yeah, that one's kind of cheeky, kind of funny. I mean, when I heard it, it was supposed to be an insult, and I just about died laughing because I'd never heard it before. I thought it was great. But anywho, Reformed Rogue says, the topic is hard for me personally. My father was absent even when he was home. Yeah, many such cases, I'm afraid. And this is one of those instances of you got to learn from his mistakes and do what he did well, strive to do well, but also be aware that he was just a man at the end of the day, and he did make mistakes and did sin, and you've got to avoid that. Got to avoid that. Sir Vilder, here to protect his dignity, says, I am not skulking. No skulking here. I'm having a blast. Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Reform Rogue, hearing other stories has really helped. Glad to hear that. Yeah. And that is one of the purposes of this show, is to be an encouragement. We could always do better. We could always do better. And if we can encourage you to do better, if we can make a difference in your life personally, that means a lot. That means a lot. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Sir Vilder. My dad always asked, how did you lose that? I handed it to you less than 5 minutes ago. Yeah. I been there. I did not understand why my dad was always so frustrated with me. And now I have kids and I get it. I get it. My children have an amazing way of losing any and everything of value. It's quite shocking.
And when he says, so anyway, to answer this question, because I actually did have some. So when he says, did you know that Mongols use those, talking about the horse
teats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The milk olfactories or whatever. Actually, I had heard a correction on that from my aunt, who was like, he should have said on a mule. And now that I think about it, that does make sense, because mules cannot breed. They cannot.
They can't have kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
does make sense. Yeah.
So I should start saying that, because
that's as useless as teats on a mule.
There you go.
That's a good one. It's a good Southern proverb too. It feels very agrarian.
Well, he's from Alabama, so
I like it.
He said, by the way, this is, you want to talk about like men not getting the best out of life. My grandfather, this is like rural Alabama in the would have been like 50s ish. So the great chimp out hadn't exactly started, but the rumblings were there. People were poor. Faulkner was receiving the Nobel Prize, all that kind of stuff. He said he had asked for a football for Christmas. That was it. Just a football. And he did not receive a football because he couldn't afford it. So he got a wagon. Like that was like his gift was like a wagon. And I was like, a wagon? What? Like
isn't that more expensive than a football?
I don't know. I guess like a little red wagon. Like I'm trying to think how to. I don't know. I guess footballs were expensive back then, because they were actually made out of pig skins back then. Like you actually had to like kill an animal to produce football, but
it probably had to be hand stitched, no machines.
Yeah, and all that. Yeah. So he, it was like a wagon, and it was full of like fruits and nuts and stuff, and like that was his Christmas gift. And I was like, Papa, that's awful. Like, no wonder you hitchhiked to California and got the hell out of there. Like, that's freaking ridiculous. Anyways.
Could be. Yeah.
All right. Let's hear you probably have more value.
All right. So I've got, if I can manage this to read off my phone without hanging up on you. If I do, just call me back. Okay. All right. So, of these things that I wrote down, most of the time when I write them down, I'm reminiscing about a story or an instance in my life where I was with my dad and something happened. And then after it got done, he kind of turned to me and just kind of summed it up like, yeah, don't do that. But here's one to start it off. This is actually very helpful advice, and I have incorporated this into my life a lot. I don't know about where you are at, Sean, but where I live, there are a lot of panhandlers. It's like every highway intersection, there are hobos and bums, and there's a difference between hobos and bums, right? There's a color card, right? But you can tell the difference between hobos and bums, but both of them are asking for money, right? But here it says, if somebody comes to you with a sob story and you are going to turn them down, don't try to convince them it's not as bad as they think. Just say no and move on. Right. And that can be summed up in one sentence, which is don't argue with panhandlers. Right. Don't get into their deep story and their history and how bad it is. And don't be telling them, look, man, if I were you, I'd just go get a job. Right. That may be true. He might need to get off his fat, lazy butt and go get a job. Or not. You don't know. And it's not your job to tell him. Either help him out, give him a little money, give him some food, do something like that, or just say no. And don't be ashamed to say no. All right. It's your money. God gave it to you. You're supposed to do something wise with it. Make a decision and stick with it. Don't argue with him. Don't let him argue with you. Don't try to tell him it's not as bad as he thinks it is. Just either do something or don't. But make your decision and stick with it. Now, this is kind of only tangentially related, but there was this one instance we were traveling, and we were in El Paso, Texas, visiting some friends of ours who were stationed out there. And we went to the Walmart there. And the Walmart had a gas station in front of it. And this guy came up and he started panhandling at my dad. And he's like, I just need some money. My mom's in the hospital. I'm trying to go see her. And my dad just asked him like 2 or 3 questions. He's not going to be like, oh, why don't you get a job? Or why are you over here if your mom's in Tennessee or whatever it is? He's not doing that. He just asked him, oh, okay, where are you from? All right, what do you do? All right, this, that, and the other. And then after he asked these 2 or 3 questions, the main one was, what's your name? Where are you from? He asked, okay, can I see your driver's license? Just so, verify things. So the guy said he's not from El Paso, gave his name, said he's not from El Paso. He handed over his driver's license. My dad says, your driver's license says you're from El Paso. He's like, well, I was here, but then I moved away, but I haven't gotten it changed over. And my dad just starts walking away. He's just like, okay, whatever. At that point, he didn't need to say no. He had kind of established this, okay, you're lying to me. I don't care. I'm walking away. And then we got to our car, and the guy was kind of ragging on my dad and following him. And my dad reached into his wallet, opened it up. He's like, look, I don't have any cash. I have this Walmart gift card. And this is actually a really funny way that things turned out. He said, look, whatever is on this gift card, that's what God wants you to have. And he gives it to the guy. And then we get in our car and we go pick up our mom from the front of the store. And she gets in. He's like, hey, that Walmart gift card that you gave me, how much was on it? And she said, oh, that was empty. So it's like just a funny way that God kind of took care of things. And my dad was just kind of, he wasn't getting heartburn over it. He wasn't getting into a big argument with him. He just asked a couple friendly questions, realized the guy was lying to him, and just was like, okay, I'm done with this. Here, take this and go away.
You know what's crazy? I did that with euros. I did that with euros in Paris. The one time I went to Paris, it was actually like Christmas Eve until the day after Christmas. Like it was like we went to Paris like during Christmas basically, but on Christmas Day, like everything was closed. Like it was one of the 2 days of the year that the Louvre was closed, and that's what we wanted to go to. So we went. Actually went. Well, we went to the Christmas service at Notre Dame.
Amazing,
because it was awesome. Yeah, and so outside of that, there was a dude with one arm who was panhandling. And he looked Parisian-ish, I guess. Like there were some gypsies with like their rugs out and stuff, and they were like wailing like, "Oh, I'm so broke," or whatever they were saying. I don't know. I wasn't listening, but out gypping. But this guy in particular was just kind of like hanging out there with his one arm, and it was cold, dude. Like it was so cold that I ended up that night buying or maybe it was the night before or something. It was so cold. I bought a scarf from some foreigner underneath the Eiffel Tower. Like, I was so cold. Like, I was just like, dude, I'll buy it. That's cool. I don't even need to wash it. Just wrap my neck up. Like, I'm freezing. So I had kind of told myself, I said, I'm going to give this guy 2 coins out of my pocket. Now, for those who don't know, the highest coin in euros is actually 2 euros.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like $2. And
which
more than that, really. Yeah.
The conversion is about $5, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time it was closer. The dollar hadn't taken a dump yet. But so for everyone, that was kind of my thing. I said, I'm going to give each person 2 coins as I see them. Not the gypsies, because they don't deserve anything, but the people who look like they might deserve something. And that guy in front of the Notre Dame Cathedral ended up getting €3, which is about as high as you can get out of 2 coins, especially 2 coins I had. Like, it was just change that I had from cash that I'd spent. Yeah. So that I guess that's just kind of my way. So maybe your dad was just like pulling your leg, or pulling that guy's leg, as far as saying,
no,
like,
he legitimately didn't know. He legitimately didn't know what was on it.
Yeah.
It was just a gift card that my mom had given him. Because we used to, it was during that time when Walmart had like discounts on gas if you used the gift card.
Yeah.
And so we had Walmart gift cards that were floating around, because we'd put cash on them in the store, come out, fill up with gas. And so he had one, and he wasn't sure if we had used it or not. So he just gave it to the guy. The guy was asking for money for gas. You know, that's what we used the card for, was for gas. He was like, well, look, this is what God wants you to have. And it was nothing. which was fitting. The guy was lying. He was obviously trying to shake my dad down.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've thought about this a couple times. It's actually better for you to be taken advantage of in that way than it is to turn down somebody who actually needs it. So I'd rather err on the side of helping people out. And I've changed my view on that as I got older. When I was a teenager, I was a libertarian and I was a jerk. But I've come to that conclusion that it's actually, now for them, it's worse if they're ripping you off, obviously, because you're feeding that and it's going to be bad for them. But that's not really your concern primarily. It's a secondary concern, but your primary concern is for your own soul, maintaining your own soul. All right. Well, with that said, let's get into number 2. And this is one I've mentioned on the show, and maybe I can sum it up better. But this is how I have it written down. If a girl passionately hates you, there is still hope. It's only when she literally doesn't care that you know it's over. And then I have it kind of annotated. My father always told me about women. Son, if she hates you or loves you, there's still hope, because passion shows care, whether good or bad. It's only worse than when she truly doesn't care about you. You've lost her forever. So that's something that was more pertinent to me when I was looking for a spouse, when I was a younger man. But it's also just a good thing to keep in mind with relational advice. If a husband and wife are fighting, that's not good. But when they stop fighting, that's actually worse. Because when they just decide, okay, we don't fight anymore, and we just sleep in different rooms and we don't talk to each other, that is worse than if they were having, like, literally hitting each other fights at night. Because something has died. Yeah. And I don't know if you can bring it back at that point.
Man, dude, that hits like a ton of bricks, because that is true. That is one that I will definitely, with my own life experience, I will sign off on that piece of advice. There is anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Beatles fan. There's a Beatles song called For No One. And that if you listen to that and that does not resonate with you, you have never experienced a girl breaking up with you. Like, you might have experienced a breakup, but it was never a one-sided, you're on the wrong side of the one-side breakup. Because he talks about it in there, like, her words of kindness linger on. She no longer needs you. Like, it's just kind of, she's moved on, but you're just like, I still remember, like, yesterday when she was like, I love you, you're the best. And then, like, those words still stick with you, and you're still like, no, there's still something there. And you want so bad to be able to just change what this person feels, and you can't do it. And, like, as long as there's a fight, like, at least there could be, like, a call back. You're an a-hole. Why'd you hang up on me? Like, that kind of thing. But if there's not even that, like, not even returning the text, that's the worst one. When you can't get which we now understand as older people. There was a time when that was not the case, where text messaging did not exist. Where it's just kind of like you're sending all these texts and you're not getting anything back. And yeah, that's a rough one, dude. And that is a hard one to, I will say that I went through a very bad breakup that honestly led to me joining the Army. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, I need to get away from the world and just join the Army. And I was, it was so bad. Like, my dad had, like, opened the door one time and it was just like, hey man, how you doing? And I just, like, fell into his arms and was crying. And it was like 2 times in my life that had ever happened. The only other time was coming back from Afghanistan, but he didn't really ask a lot of questions about it and what exactly was going on. But he, like, gave me a card, and, like, that was really cool. Like, where it was basically like, I mean, it's a card, so it's like someone else wrote it, but he like signed his name to it, whatever. And the sentiment was essentially like, look, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but, like, I'm there for you. And that's good to do it. Like, you used to talk about some fatherly advice. Just be that guy. Like, you're not going to understand exactly what your kid's going through,
but you got to be there for him.
But you're still there. Yeah. Just show, like, hey man, like, your feelings are valid. I'm there for you. Because you're a guy, no one else is going to believe that your feelings are valid. So,
yeah. I mean, I had a really awful breakup when I was in high school. It was actually right when I was graduating and getting ready to go off to college. And it tore me up. It tore me up. I was a wreck. And it's probably the reason that I didn't do well in college, actually, is because I just wasn't emotionally recovered from it. And the night it happened, I came home and I was just devastated. And I remember my dad came in to my room and he just kind of sat with me for a few minutes, didn't say anything. And I mean, I was in high school, but a bit of a redneck. So the rules don't necessarily work the same way in our house as they did everywhere else. But he did something for me. He was just like, son, it's going to be rough tonight. Would you like me to take your guns? And so he took my guns that I kept next to my bed and walked out with them. And came back, gave me a hug, and he was just like, you'll be okay. And I was. But it took a while. But it was my dad knowing where I was at in that moment meant so much to me, because it was like I hadn't said a word to anybody about anything, but he knew what I was feeling and what I was going through. He was like, I'm going to be here for you and I'm going to make sure you're okay. And that was a huge deal. Anyhow, that's a bit heavy, but we'll get on to the next one. This is an interesting one. So you've heard it said, as Jesus says, you've heard it said, anything worth doing is worth doing well, right? my dad heard that one time and he just said, actually, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. And what he meant by that was, if it needs to be done, it doesn't actually matter if you know how to do it right. You need to give it your best shot.
Yeah.
Because it needs to get done. And if you do it wrong the first time, maybe, you'll get it the second time. But essentially, it's another way of saying, don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough. Right? Don't be postponing doing something because you can't do it right. And this is something that I have a problem with because I'm a perfectionist. And I will often delay things that ought to happen because I'm like, oh, well, I've got to make sure I've got the right tool. I've got to make sure I've got all the supplies. Everything's got to be in its little corner. And then essentially what that means is it just doesn't happen. So I'm bad about that. But anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Don't wait till you can do it perfect, because if it needs to happen, it needs to happen. And then this is a piece of advice that my dad gave me one time. I don't remember the context exactly, but he said, always wave when you're driving away because you never know who's looking. If you're a working dad, and you're leaving your kids at home, wave at the house as you're driving away. You don't know if your kid woke up and is peeking out the window trying to watch you drive away. Wave at the house. Just make that gesture, because if they're looking, they'll get rewarded and it costs you nothing. Right? And there's little gestures like this, not just waving, but like giving a smile. There are little gestures that you can do throughout your life that will cost you nothing, but they might mean the world to the people around you. So look for those opportunities and try to fill those. Because like I said, it costs you nothing, right? A little gesture here, turning off the light when you exit the room because you know that your dad hates to see lights on, or,
Bro, dude, I do that all the time. And because my daughter has autism, like the lights are like a central part of that autism. So like she'll go in and turn on every light in the room. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it drives me insane. Like, I totally get it. Like, I don't own the electric company. Like that kind of fatherhood.
Right. My wife is really, one of her habits is she likes watching the electric bill, and she kind of plays these games where she does things to try to get the electric bill low, which I think is great. She's adorable, and she'll do these things where it'll be like, oh, well, we're leaving the house, so we'll turn off the AC, and then we'll get home, and it'll be August, and we get home at 5 p.m. We open the door, and we just feel like this oven waft in our faces. And then, a couple of days later, she'll be like, but look how much I saved on the electric bill. I'm like,
golly.
Sounds great, dear, but when I'm home, the AC's on, okay? Yeah, fun stuff.
Can I here was a this kind of goes to something you had just said. Oh, it was when you were talking about doing something poorly. This I actually heard this from you, but it is good fatherly advice that I will give to anyone who is lacking in the father department. This I got from you. Be good at being poor. That stuck with me, dude. When you had told me that, like I think you shared a video about it or something like that. And it was the idea. It's like, the problem isn't that you're poor. The problem is that you're bad at being poor. Like, anyone can be poor and get,
I mean, most people don't have an option, right?
Yeah.
Most people who are poor, they're not poor because they chose to be, There's a couple monks out there.
Yeah, to be good. And the reason I thought about this was that the idea is that, like, to be good at being poor is to do the things yourself that most people would just pay someone to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, oh boy, this thing with plumbing isn't working. I'll pay the plumber to do it. Sometimes I get it. You got to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have to go that route. I recently had a bad clog. I had to call a plumber, but I've also had some situations I was able to figure out. So, I mean, all that to say, like, you know, when you were mentioning anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, I was thinking like that also kind of felt like one of those, like, if you're poor, like, just do it yourself, dude. Like, if you can figure it out. Mm-hmm. I've done some car stuff that I shouldn't.
Hey guys, Chris Fix here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chris Fix to save the day.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Right. Yeah.
Another
it makes a difference.
Another thing, and I actually did this. This was actually a word for word thing that my father said to me, and you reminded me when you were talking about your father taking your guns away. He said, "Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And man, dude, like, he must have heard that somewhere else. Like, he didn't just make that up on the spot, but like, that stuck with me, man. I was like, dude, that got me through some times where, I mean, it's easy to look back now and be like, well, I'm glad I didn't end it then. But at the time, especially
at the time, it was like, I don't see where I can go from here.
Yes, because I think when you're a young man, and by young man, I mean 25 or under, maybe. And it's like a girl related problem. And you have constructed you've constructed 3 generations ahead of yourself based on this woman. And then she goes away. You tell yourself, well, I guess that's the end of the line. Are you hearing the banging that is being done on the other side of this window?
I hear something. Is that a possum trying to get in?
No, it's it's the woman that I've based the next 3 generations off of making noise outside that window. The kitchen sink, for those who don't know, is like right here on the other side of like this wall that's right here. Like, this is the window. There's light coming from the window from right over the sink. So she's working on something. But anyways, when it's girl related, it really does feel like the end of, because that's what good men do. Like, not good men would be devastated if a child came out of this relationship, but the good man is sitting there and being like, one day I'm going to do the thing that leads to children with this girl. You know what I mean? And you kind of, you build this thing and
for the purpose of having children.
Yes. Like, you build this whole, you build a whole, like I said, you build 3 generations in front of you. We're going to look at this living room as where the grandkids talk about having Christmas. And you know what I mean? Like, you, in your head, and then when that's taken away from you, it's like, oh, dude, you just killed our grandkids by breaking up with me. And
I mean, you know, as a young man, I remember doing the whole thing where it's like, in my mind, rotating the apple, right?
Yeah.
Got my face, got her face. And I'm thinking, like, what would our kids look like? You know, part me, part her, and doing this whole thing. And it's like, when she broke up with me, it's like that went all the way down to the heart, man. It was like, you know, it was like you said, it was like you murdered my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's not fair to her, obviously. But as a young man, you don't, you know, you didn't ask for that. You know, you didn't intend for things to go that far. You know, and a girl breaking up with you isn't legitimately that bad, but it subjectively feels that way.
Like, on that specific note, like, there's a woman who wrote this poem that was like, I love the way men love, because men love in very different ways. And I remember the moment, like, so growing up, I always kind of had this idea, my kids are going to look like me, right? Like, in whatever capacity, right? And I remember that moment where I was like, I want my kids to be a hybrid of me and this this woman I was dating at the time. And you just like, you build a world around it. And it's just, it's so intense. And you feel like this has to be it, because if it's not this story, then it's not a good story. I don't know. It's good to remember those things, because that's the kind of stuff I'm going to tell my son. Like after his first bad situation like that, where it's like, believe it or not, there was a woman that existed before your mother. And I thought that, like I said, I had constructed a world built around her, and that world no longer exists. And in fact, it never existed except in my own head. Yeah, that's just, it's good things to be able to tell your son. Like my dad was like, yeah, I don't have my high school graduation ring because I gave it to this knucklehead girl that broke up with me. You know what I mean? Like,
and she never gave it back.
Yeah, she never gave it back. She probably melted it down and sold
probably
it. Probably
threw it in the river. Yeah. Auctioned it off.
Hopefully she got some money.
Pawned it somewhere.
Yeah.
I never knew that my dad had a girlfriend when he was in high school that he was very serious with. And he told me about her when my breakup happened. And it was brief. Like, he didn't get into details. I don't know her name or where she is now. I don't think he knows where she is now. He doesn't care. But he was living in Killeen at the time. That's where he went to that's where he graduated high school. That's not far from where I live now. And he drove all the way out to El Paso to see her. He got there and she introduced him to her boyfriend. And he's like, wait a minute, I thought I was your boyfriend. It's like, well, I moved to El Paso and you weren't around. And, and it was like, he ended up having to stay at her house with her folks overnight before going back home because he couldn't afford a hotel. And it was just like, it was a bad spot to be, man.
Sometimes I hear stories about things that women said to other guys, and I'm just like, I just want to, like, to say that, like, I was in El Paso and you weren't there.
Yeah.
I just, when you hear those stories,
I'm putting those words in her mouth. I don't know that she, said those things, but that was definitely what happened.
Oh, right? I had a buddy in high school. I still know the guy. He'll know what I'm talking about. He listens to the show. He had a girlfriend, his fiance, right? As all high school girlfriends are. She went off to Alaska and hooked up with literally an Eskimo dude, which was a joke when I first said it. But then I was like, oh, who'd you hook up with? Some Eskimo? And he's like, well, actually, yeah, it was like an Eskimo American, whatever. But like, she was like, well, I was lonely. Like, I was away from... Oh my goodness, woman, stop. Just, anyways.
Yeah. It's kind of, people have pointed this out, but I think it is true that women and men love very differently. And women move on much more easily.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it biologically, it makes sense, right? Men go off and die in war. And the women have to move on. Because if they don't, then their bloodline ends, their tribe suffers. The next generation must continue. So God created them with that in mind. But I've been married for 10 years. If my wife were to die, I would be devastated. And it would be very hard for me to survive that. If I died, I know my wife would be upset and she would be devastated. But she would move on. And I would want her to. I would want her to move on. But it's very different for women than it is for men. Men love differently. Men love almost more deeply. I don't know if it's deeper or if it's just different.
I'm gonna try to not be
too misogynistic.
angry chud about this. I guess I'll try to keep.
Let me tell you about women, son.
Yeah, let me tell you about women don't know how to love. Yeah,
they're all thoughts.
They don't love like we love, boy.
All right, well, let's get back into the comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see. My dad always said, I hope your kids are just as destructive as you are. I didn't understand how much of a curse that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the good kid growing up, but apparently by the stories that my in-laws tell, my wife was the bad kid. So I got to have the bad
marry
kids.
each other, man.
Yeah, I got screwed on that deal, dude. Like I was supposed to have good kids, but no.
My wife and I were both middling, I think. I wasn't the worst, but I don't know. Was I the best? It's hard to say. I was well behaved as a kid, but it's because I was very manipulative, so I didn't get in trouble very much. But I certainly deserved to get more trouble than I did. Sir Vilder again. Any dad can make a wagon. Most dads can't make a pigskin. Yeah, that's probably true. Had something to do with it.
I'll give you that.
Probably had something to do with it. And this is Sir Vilder talking about hobos versus bums. He says, my dad always said, if they're really hungry, they will work for you if you offer. And that's
or
true.
They'll take the food you offer.
Yeah, that's true to a point. That's more true. The thing is, if I'm panhandling and a guy comes up and he's like, hey, I'll pay you $5 an hour to come wash my car, I've got to do an evaluation here and be like, okay, if I stay here and panhandle, I'm going to make more money than if I go with you to your house, wash your car for at most $10, and then you drive me back here. I just wasted 2 to 3 hours for $10. So I think more like what you said, Sean, where if you offer them food and then they go, I don't know, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a deacon at church who gave me a story just like that. He was saying like this is in Sunday school. He's like, yeah, I told this homeless guy, like, yeah, I won't give you money, but like I'll go into this like Subway or whatever that I was
and
next
I'll get
to.
You a sandwich.
I'll buy you a sandwich and I'll be fine. And he said, well, I don't really like Subway. And he said, well, there's Burger King right next door to it too. You want to go there? He's like, I don't like that either. And he said he told the homeless guy, he's like, well, I guess you're not really that hungry then. And then he walked off.
Yeah.
And like I was like, oh, that's pretty wild for a deacon at the church. But I mean, it makes sense now. Like now that I'm older and wiser,
it's like, makes sense. I mean, if he was hungry, he would have been grateful for a Subway. Yeah. Actually, it was Subway in the story that I had heard too. This was from a podcaster that I listened to. He says, where one of his kind of red pilling moments about the homeless. There's this guy. He lives in Montana. It's cold. He's like, hey man, you're hungry, you're cold. How about I go and get you a Subway sandwich? And as he's walking away, the guy says, don't forget my chips. And he's like, excuse you? Like,
yeah,
what? I'm getting you free food and you're being demanding. Don't forget the chips, man.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? He was already going to do it, so he did it anyway. He got him the chips, but he said he hadn't helped the homeless guy since. I was like, well, guy ruined it for the rest of them. But it is funny, too. Anytime he tells that story, and he tells it a couple times, he always does the voice. He's always like, don't forget my chips, man. So you can picture in your mind what this ungrateful person looks like. Amazing how that works. Amazing. Oh, yeah, this is true. My dad always said, sleep is for the dead. Sleep is for the dead. Yeah, don't value your sleep too highly, especially since once you grow up, you're going to realize you don't get very much of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is necessarily good advice, but it is something my dad always said: is sleep is for the dead. Yeah. And then let's see. The Louvre was closed. You should have taken whatever you wanted.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, the problem is Sean forgot his crane truck.
Yeah,
His
and I didn't know.
Truck.
I didn't know at the time that they had female security there, so
Yeah.
or else I would have definitely taken the Code of Hammurabi that they had there. That was freaking cool, man.
Yeah, forget the Mona Lisa. Grab the Hammurabi Stele.
That was the thing I was really impressed with, actually. Like, and I almost missed it too until I read the card. I was like, "What? What is this?" Because I was like obsessed with the Code of Hammurabi when in 6th grade and we were learning about it. Like, I don't know why, but
it's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, we know about it, the heist.
Where?
It's just like when that guy tried to suicide by Secret Service when he went into the White House during the Obama administration, when he had like put a bunch of women in charge of security, and he jumped through the White House and was just like shooting it up, and was kind of like, he just stopped. He was like, wait a second, I expected to be shot by this point. Like nobody stopped me. I don't know what to do. I didn't expect to get this far. What?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't expect to get this far. I hadn't planned that far ahead. This is Sir Builder again. My dad always said, don't enlist, get a degree first and go in as an officer. And don't join the army, join the chair force. Yeah. He was, of course, right on both counts. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't always have an option. But yeah, don't enlist is good advice.
I will say this. I'll use some fatherly advice from the show, 2.5 Men, which is not good advice, but it was he was basically saying like oh, you shouldn't drink alcohol, like it's poison. And the boy says like, well, why do you drink alcohol? And he says, because there are things inside me that need to die. Right, which is funny. Like, it's a great thing.
Yeah, but it's also true.
Yeah, there's also truth to it. I'm killing some things inside me right now. And I felt that way about joining the Army because my ASVAB score was a 92, and I had the had the Air Force people were like, please don't join. You got to join with us, dude. Like, you actually qualify for us. And like, this city's full of retards, and nobody qualifies for the Army except for you, or for the Air Force except for you. But my idea was that I wanted to join the Army because I wanted to kill my old self. Like I wanted to be something different on the other side. And for better, for worse, that came true.
That happened.
And so if that is what you're trying to do, if you're trying to change who you are, the Air Force ain't going to do that for you. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. This one's from Sir Builder again. My dad always said, if hiring someone else costs the same as buying the tools and supplies, then buy the tools and do it yourself. And next time it will cost less than hiring someone else.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good evaluation. And keep in mind, though, that if you're buying the tools at Harbor Freight, the next time you do it, you will probably have to buy the tools from Harbor Freight again. Yeah. So, just keep that in your calculation, But
I've killed 4 belt sanders from Harbor Freight in a single day. You can burn through some Harbor Freight tools depending on what it is.
You can. It's they're cheap tools, cheap. But sometimes there's a place for that.
Yeah.
Zoltan, Check for Tunnel says, could you have done better? Well, yeah, I guess. Then why didn't you? From Grandpa's story about a shoddy fence he built. Yeah. If you can do better, do better. No reason to do a bad job if you can. If you can put a little more effort into it and make it nice, do that.
Do your best.
If you're walking out of the room and you see something on the floor, pick it up.
Yeah.
On your way into the room, on your way into the kitchen, grab that dirty dish. That cup that's been sitting
You
on your
don't,
nightstand.
you don't have to do.
You know who you are listening to this. Put that nightstand cup in the dishwasher.
Yeah, guy. You don't have to do the best, but you should do your best. Or as a great man once said, "Do your duty in all things. You cannot do more. You should not expect to do less."
Mm-hmm. Here's another one. My dad always said, "I love you, son, but it's hard sometimes." It's like,
now you said you weren't sulking. Here we are.
That's not advice, really, but yeah, that is. Sometimes it's hard to love your loved ones, but they're still your loved ones, which means you still love them. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Skipping some of these. Let's see. You were talking about a clogged.
Yeah, actually, I did want to address this because the question was, "What did you eat that caused the bad clog?" Well, it wasn't something I ate, and I wanted to because Sir Builder says Mexican food. I bet no Mexican food would have made it flush down easier,
just fine,
because it would have been less solid. It would have just been more liquid added to the equation. No, what happened was my autistic daughter likes to do this thing where if we're not watching her while she's in the tub, she will get out of the tub and she will grab toilet paper and flush entire rolls of toilet paper down or whatever else she can get her hands on. So sometimes it's like wet wipes. Sometimes it's things that should not be flushed. And so when the guy said he pulled the root or whatever it is out, he said he found some wipes in there, which means it's not toilet paper, because toilet paper would have dissolved no matter how much it was. So it was something to that effect.
There was a house that we had that we had renters in Killeen, and it's actually the house my dad grew up in, but now it's a rental. And we had some folks in there, and I'm not going to say what race they are, but they were black, and they flushed a lot of things down the toilet. I think they had some really bad kids, and we ended up pulling a shoe, like a kid's shoe, underwear, a pair of kids' jeans, like a couple pairs of underwear. And I mean, the stuff they flushed down that toilet, it literally broke the floor. God. Them flushing all this stuff down the toilet. It was just nasty. It was a mess. But flushing stuff down the toilet can literally break your plumbing. I mean, it can break the pipes in the ground. And then you have to really get down in there and seal it all up, and that's a lot of work. I mean, we had to break the concrete and put pipes in and everything. It was a mess. So sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze, but I don't make the decisions on who we rent to, so I just get to clean it up.
Yeah. Thanks, civil rights movement. Jerks.
Hey, Zoltan, Tech for Tunnel says, growing up, poor white people didn't pay people to do stuff for them. It was more a problem of the scratch-offs, cigarettes, beer, DUIs, and child support. That's being bad at being poor. Yeah. I mean,
it's a different kind of being bad at being poor.
If you're in a redneck community where people are good at being poor on that side, where they know how to do stuff themselves instead of hiring out, they can still have the other problems. It's not one-sided, it's multifaceted.
Well, and I will say that's I wouldn't even say redneck, although I know the term becomes synonymous with this, but I would say white trash, because the idea of being white trash is that you are bad at being white. You're not just being bad at being poor, you're being bad at being white and poor, because we have standards, son. And you ain't living up to them, so you are white trash. That's why it doesn't hurt. If a black person calls you white trash, you're like, you're just saying I'm a bad white guy. Like, if I just say you're an average black guy, that's worse
me
than
by saying I'm like you. Which
think
exactly. That one through, buddy.
Think about it, buddy. You know what's really bad in my line of work? I go to people's homes, and I'm always like, I'll point out, I'm like, dude, you got to mow your lawn. And when I say mow your lawn, I don't mean like, oh, it's kind of, it's gone above 6 inches. I mean like out in the country where people are living in double wides and the damn grass is higher than the house, like on one side or something like that. I'm like, you got rats because you live in a jungle, idiot. And all the time I get women saying like, you don't understand. My man comes home from work and he doesn't want to do anything. Yeah, I know. Get on him about it. I guess
that's all of us. Okay.
Yeah.
He is not unique in that aspect.
I don't want to do anything, but I'm not going to let my grass grow higher than the roof of the house. Of course. Duh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do that. Or they've got just like rotten or just like piles of stuff. Right. That's such a white trash thing. It's just like stuff you're never going to use again. You are not a richer person for holding on to that stuff. You're never going to sell it, right? You're never going to use it. It's just a home for the rats in your yard. That's all it is. Get rid of it. White trash people.
Let's see. Sir Vilder says, one gender loves deeper and the other loves wider. I think there may be something to that. Men love deeper, women love wider.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then let's see, Zoltan again. That's why we have an entire arsenal of tools and know where to put them. That's right. If every time you've got a project, you're like, oh, well, it would cost me less to go buy the tool than to hire a plumber. Now you've got a bunch of plumbing tools and you're like, well, I don't have anywhere to put these. Yeah, that can happen. Sir Vilder, good thing Harbor Freight has the lifetime guarantee. Yeah, but they're not paying me for the gas to go drive down there every time, are they? They're not paying me for the lost time when I get halfway into a project and then their tool breaks and I have to start over.
Yeah.
Not paying me for that, are they? No. So, yeah, lifetime guarantees are a great idea for quality tools. But, no, I'll have none of this Harbor Freight glazing. Lion of the North 96 says, I'll have a lesson at work on Monday, but figured I'd drop in to tell y'all Operation Get a Cutie 2025 was a success. I think he means Get a Cutie Pregnant 2025. Yeah. Baby number 5 due August 2026. Goodness. Made it just before the buzzer.
Very nice.
Dude.
Good
just
job,
squeaked
brother.
in there. God bless y'all. Lion of the North, congratulations. We will pray that is a safe and healthy delivery, but congrats, dude. That is awesome. Get a Cutie Pregnant 2025. Roaring success. Very cool. And then Sir Vilder again says, self-sacrifice means you do things not because you want to, but because they need done. Yeah, that's about right. But there are a lot of things that need to be done that there aren't necessarily recipients for, or that you might be the recipient for. In which case, is it really self-sacrifice, right? I mean, if you're a single guy living by yourself and you go to work so that you can buy a boat, is that really self-sacrifice? I mean, you are doing something, working because it needs to get done to pay your bills, but you're also the one reaping from it. Whereas what Sean was talking about was more the fact that, a man is doing this for his own people, specifically his wife and kids and the future generations coming after him. He is sacrificing himself. He is dying to himself daily for those future generations. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the pictures or like, I guess like memes where it's like men will live like this and think there's no problem, and it's like literally like a lawn chair and a TV and a video game system, and like that's it, in like
a
their
mattress
entire
in the
house.
corner that's not on a frame.
Yeah. That is what it is. Like anything more than that, you're doing for someone else. You're not doing it for yourself, right? Unless you're like a homosexual, right? Like you're not doing it for yourself. You're not nesting, right? Like, This, like everything behind me, this is all stuff that if I was single, this would be like every knickknack that I own. Right? Like
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would need like some reading material and my phone, maybe this computer setup. That's about it.
When I bought this house, I bought it from a bank that was having trouble getting rid of it because it didn't have a front door that shut and there were windows missing. But my brother and I would come out here on weekends and work on it, and we'd stay in it over the weekend. One of the first things we did is we fixed the door so it shut. But one thing that I noticed from when I kind of lived in it on weekends with my brother to when I lived in it full time with my wife when we got married a couple of years later, or maybe it was a year later. It was a while. One of the things I noticed is that when my brother and I, he was like 16 and I was 18, something like that. We were young. When we were camping out in here, it was pretty Spartan furniture. And by that, I don't mean Greek vases. I mean, there was not much of it, right? There was a table with 2 folding chairs, might have even been a folding table. There was a fridge that I got somewhere. And I think that might have been all the furniture in the whole house. And we were just parked out in sleeping bags in the living room. When it was time to go to bed, we'd unfold those things, roll up in them, bent arm for a pillow. And it was a good time. I don't have any regrets. But now I'm married and I sleep in a queen size bed, and I like that just fine too. Men are easy to please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we've been going for about 2 hours. Sean, do you have any closing thoughts, man?
I did want to mention one thing. Today, actually, is the 100th birthday of Mr. Dick Van Dyke.
I heard that on the radio. Yeah.
A big part of my childhood. It's funny. We're talking about fatherly advice. And I mean, for me, I was born in 1989. So the 90s for me were my childhood. And a big part of the 90s was the kind of Nick at Night era. So it, obviously like TV in the 50s and 60s wasn't modern to us in the 90s, but it was the reruns that we watched, especially on things like Nickelodeon after, I want to say 9 o'clock ish, something like that. And the Dick Van Dyke Show was a big thing. That was a big thing. So like watching him growing up, I wasn't like a huge Mary Poppins guy, but I knew him from there. But the Dick Van Dyke Show was just very funny. It wasn't too much of a like the father's an idiot kind of trope. Like that hadn't really come into existence yet. Like he would do goofy stuff, but yeah, it's just I believe very strongly in honoring people who have done whatever little things they did as a celebrity or whatever to make your life better. I mean, I know they don't know you, but you know them through their work. And of course, like Mary Tyler Moore was just a fox, dude. Like, for that time period, like I think she, at such a young age, like defined beauty for me. Watching that show, because she was the wife on that show, for those who don't know. Now I'm really talking about some old man stuff right here, talking about stuff that was old man stuff for my age. And but yeah, Dick Van Dyke was just a huge part of my childhood growing up. And so watching shows like that, I watched a lot of Taxi. I really liked The Odd Couple was a big show, like, so all those kind of shows. But yeah, Dick Van Dyke made it to 100. That was a big thing. I was really worried because like Betty White had done like interviews and stuff and literally was on the front page. Like I was never a big Betty White fan, but like she was on the front page of whatever magazine and it was like Betty White turns 100. And they had done the interview and all that stuff. And she died like right before her 100th birthday. And so there were magazines on the rack Betty White turns 100, how she feels about it, but she had already died.
Mm-hmm. And she didn't make it.
And she didn't make it to 100.
Yeah.
But Dick Van Dyke made it. And congratulations to him. From what I've heard, he's a good man. Didn't have any kind of crazy island stories where he was with little girls or something like that. So
just seems like an all-around good dude.
All around good dude.
There were 2 movies that I grew up watching that he was in. One was Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm.
Watched that a billion times as a kid. And he affected a Cockney accent. And in that, his accent was so atrocious, he got so much hate for it that when it came time to play Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, he just full sent it with his natural voice.
Nice.
Despite the fact that it was set in England, and turned out great. Those were the 2 movies that I grew up watching in which he was. And got nothing but fond memories of the guy. So, all right. Well, folks, it has been quite a show, almost 2 hours, but some fatherly advice, for you guys here. Hopefully this has been encouraging to you. Fathers were given to us for a reason. And the reason that God gave us fathers was to lead us, to guide us, and to shape us into who we are. For better or worse, you are a version of your dad, whether you like him or not. And also, it's not just genetic. It's also the morality of things. I mean, there's going to be a genetic thing, a genetic component, as Sean is aware. He is very much like his genetic father.
Yeah.
But he's also like the man who raised him, because those values, that shaping that went into him, turned him into the man he is today. And you are no different. And your children are going to turn out like you. And if you want your children to turn out well, you need to start at home. You need to start with yourself. You need to improve yourself. You need to fix yourself, because if you're telling your kids, do as I say, not as I do, they're not going to do it. They're going to do as you do, because actions speak louder than words. And that's something every dad should tell their kids. That's something my dad has told me, and I'm sure your dad has told you. Actions speak louder than words. Guys, be a dad. Be a good dad. Be a father to your children, not just the man who occupies the chair in the corner of the living room, but be a dad to your kids. Take them to church. Teach them. All right, like the Bible says, when you rise up, when you lay down, when you walk in the way, tell them of these things. Have the scripture on your lips and teach it to your children diligently. My father did that for me, and it's a thing for which I am eternally grateful, and something for which I will never be able to repay him. Be that for your kids. Be that for your future generations. And with that, folks, thank you for staying to the end of the show, and support us on Buy Me a Coffee to be put in the drawing for Calvin's commentaries. We will be announcing the winner of that next week, and we will be shipping those out to you. Hopefully they will get to you in time for Christmas, given a week of shipping. We'll see. But hope that you have a wonderful night, and go get some sleep. Go to bed, because tomorrow is a day that God has prepared for you to worship him in. And take your kids to church. Take your wife to church. Go to church. Listen to the sermon. Sing the songs. And be blessed by it. And I will see you at the table. God bless and farewell.